All right, I just stumbled across this comment online that I find absolutely terrifying, and I'll read it in 1 second, but just to lay the groundwork, I'm sure you guys have seen all of the videos of random students being plucked off the streets. For example, this doctoral student was caught on camera being detained by a bunch of masked people. This AP article says, Turkish student at Tufts University detained, and video shows masked people handcuffing her. Multiple doctoral students have been plucked off the street while they're just trying to live and study and contribute to society. Now, the story isn't about this case in particular, but it's about the broader pattern that keeps happening because we just learned that early in the morning on Tuesday, ICE arrested another University of Alabama doctoral student from Iran, and that's where I found this comment hidden in this article. It says, "This one is really weird. Because of the lack of transparency since he was taken in the early Tuesday morning and nobody knows where he is still apparently, which is insane. He's not listed on any of the pro-Israel watchdog sites. Basically, sometimes they deport people if they deem them too pro-Palestine, which is a very odd reason. I mean, the entire reason the First Amendment exists is so that we can protest against the government. And even if somebody is pro-Hamas, you can't just deport somebody for having beliefs. I mean, we have people with radical beliefs on both sides of the aisle. Even if we don't agree with them, you can't deport someone for that reason. But his lawyer called him a, quote, studious nerd, someone who hasn't attended any protests and is confirmed by his university's SJP chapter, who is quick to embrace any pro-Palestinian activist demand, who said they don't know him. They don't know the guy. So he's not some dude who's out there protesting or even openly saying radical beliefs. Not that that would justify it, of course. People found his fiance on social media, and the only political stuff on it is support for the protests against the anti-Israel Iranian dictatorship, and yet they're claiming that he's posting national security concerns. That's what the administration is claiming. I suppose it's possible he tricked people close to him and did nefarious stuff behind everyone's back, but I think it's more likely that he's from the wrong country in Trump's eyes. Trump's bigoted travel ban blocked Iranians, and now they're deporting him. And that he went 90 miles per hour in a 68 miles per hour zone a couple of years ago, and he paid the fine. It would be nice to see some evidence to find out what's going on here instead of these vague statements. And we've seen time and time again the Trump admin refuses to release any sort of intel, any sort of evidence against people they deport, like Mahmoud Khalil, who basically was detained with no evidence, with no charge whatsoever. But what I find uniquely terrifying about this comment is because it points out how he was basically ripped out of bed at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Nobody knows where he is. Literally, nobody knows where they're holding him. Nobody knows why he was taken. The only thing he has on his record is a speeding ticket from a few years back. He's not listed on any websites. It's just very weird. You can basically say he was kidnapped. If we looked up the definition of the word kidnapped, it would fit exactly what happened here. And while all of this is happening, the Trump administration, or the White House official Twitter account run by the Trump admin, is posting memes on Twitter. I don't even want to pull up the full post, but they posted this photo right here. It's of a cartoon dude arresting a woman. And let me show you the Fox News response, because a liberal on Fox News called this out as the distraction it is and talked about the due process that I'm talking about. Take a look.
I think Democrats should focus on isn't something like this. It's the fact that Marco Rubio seems to have done away with due process for people in the U.S. legally, on legal visas, student and otherwise, who many of which have now been taken off the streets, disappeared. People, they can't get in touch with their lawyers. He hasn't outlined why they are being held. I think that's a much bigger crisis with our immigration system than deporting an illegal immigrant who's dealing fentanyl. And politically, Democrats need to be very careful about not falling into some of these traps and taking the bait and focusing on what we think the real unconstitutional, which courts have now said, things that the Trump administration is doing. This is not the problem, although I think it's in poor taste.
The president does have wide latitude to take back student visas. You do not get the full panoply of rights as someone here on a student visa. You get a modicum, not the full panoply.
Yeah, I have no empathy or for anyone coming to the United States when we've invited them who have terrorist sympathies, which is the government has accused many of these visa holders as having.
It doesn't matter if you have empathy or not. The Constitution says they get due process. You don't only get due process if you're a U.S. citizen. You get due process if you're on U.S. soil, because that means the Constitution applies to you. So I don't care if a random Fox News host doesn't have empathy. I care that everyone has due process. That gay tattoo artist that was, or no, sorry, gay hairstylist that was deported for a tattoo deserved due process. And there's something called Blackstone's ratio. The quote goes, "It's better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer." And that can be taken to the extremes. I wouldn't actually want a bunch of murderers running around the streets. But the point is, it's basically saying that if you're uncertain about somebody's guilt, you err on the side of leniency. It's the same thing as innocent until proven guilty. But the Trump admin is treating these people like guilty until proven guilty. And here's the thing. You can make the argument that if someone comes over illegally in the first place and they broke a law, but a lot of these people came legally. They seeked asylum and they came through the proper channels. So you can't say that you're just deporting them. And this article really caught my eye. It's titled, "The Biggest Scandal of the Second Trump Term Isn't Signalgate." And it argues that the national security debacle certainly merits attention, but the Trump admin is now blatantly disappearing students and others who are in the country legally. Remember when Steve Bannon talked about flooding the zone? So many things happen at once that you can't put your attention on everything. I mean, I've spent the past 2 or 3 days covering Signalgate or the whiskey leaks, whatever you want to call them. They say whiskey because of Pete Hegseth. And maybe I should have been putting more attention on this, so I'm going to cover this more. On March 26th, Ramyesa Ozturk, a PhD student, co-authored an op-ed criticizing the university's response to student demands. And then on Tuesday, as captured on video, a half dozen masked agents ambushed like a young woman and took her off the street. I won't play the video fully, but you guys have seen the video of her being ambushed on the streets. And then again, masked agents took the one dude that I was just talking about out of his bed at literally 5 a.m. A doctoral student from Iran, says The Independent, studying at the University of Alabama, was detained by federal immigration officers, among the latest arrests targeting international students under Trump's administration. His name is Alreza, and he was studying mechanical engineering, and he was arrested at 5 a.m., according to a student newspaper, the Crimson White. There was also another doctoral student arrested. I mean, over and over, people are being disappeared. And this says, uproar sparked when Secretary of State Marco Rubio dismissed everyone's concerns by saying, "We revoked her visa. Once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States." And that's chilling because she came here legally. She did everything properly, yet she was still deported because the admin unilaterally decided they didn't like the fact that she was here legally and that her visa can get revoked. He's basically saying, once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally, just wild. That was arguably not even the most chilling part of Rubio's press conference. Rubio confirmed recent reporting that the U.S. State Department has revoked 300 student visas, most or all for criticizing Israel or protesting the war in Gaza, but then went further. Quote, "At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them, but we're looking every day for these lunatics that are tearing things up." This is wild. People are protesting the government, which is absolutely protected by the First Amendment, and the Trump admin revokes their student visa and deports them. And honestly, people were warned about this. The pro-Palestine protesters were told by the Trump admin this will happen. That's why some of the both sides arguments piss me off, because people claim, oh, Kamala would have been just as bad as Trump. And it's like, no, Trump told you guys to your face that he was going to do this. Ozturk's abduction, the one that was caught on camera and went super, super viral by agents of the state, occurred during what thus far has been the biggest scandal of the Trump's second term, which is called Signalgate. But people are saying the detention and attempted deportation of student activists using armed and masked agents captures the real menacing story of the second Trump admin. There is the tortured, spurious defenses of extralegal action, the foaming over the mouth of non-white immigrants and woke students, and even the dude who was deported, the gay hairstylist who was deported. And people, there's a distinction to be made. The deportation is only part of the story. The real story is that he was deported to a torturous prison in El Salvador, which is terrifying. And I'm going to leave everything there. All that I ask from you is to drop a like on the video to help boost this in the algorithm. If you made it this far, go drop some blue hearts. It helps really boost this story so people can see it. I love each and every single one of you. I'll see you in the next video, and peace out.